Greetings. This is Justin Allen, the Elite Nurse Practitioner. Welcome to the Elite Nurse Practitioner Show, podcast dedicated to nurse practitioner entrepreneurism and achieving financial freedom, where I talk directly with nurse practitioners who need help. Listen up, our market is saturated. Jobs can be scarce. We are underpaid. We are undervalued. We are taken advantage of by the sharks within the healthcare system, and frankly, screw that. Sick of it, and it's time for a change. And listen, I'm here to help make that happen. We are powerful. We can forge a path where we are in control of our career and ultimately our financial and personal well-being. You do not need to submit to healthcare administrators and your doctor overlords. You do not have to take the measly salary. You do not have to work 50 to 60 hours a week. There is a different way, and I'm here to show you that path. This podcast is raw and unfiltered. I have not talked to the nurse practitioners in this podcast prior to the call outside of an email exchange to schedule the episode. What you're about to listen to is a consultation session between a nurse practitioner and myself. It is real, it is unscripted, it is unplanned, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Anything and everything can happen during our conversation. The nurse practitioners in these episodes are struggling with an issue in their professional or financial life, and they have reached out to me for help. My goal is to help the nurse practitioner with actionable advice that will enhance and improve their professional, business, and financial life. My other goal is to hopefully help my nurse practitioner sisters and brothers build a more productive, powerful, and free life. So I hope the content and information within these podcast episodes does just that. All right, onto the episode. Hello, everyone. Today we'll be talking to Kelli, who is a family nurse practitioner. Currently, she owns and operates her own primary care clinic where she sees a variety of health conditions, and she is accepting insurance predominantly. She's needing assistance integrating cash services into her practice to increase revenue and improve patient satisfaction. She's also looking for help with general business strategy and how to grow her practice. Hey, Kelli, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for hopping on here. So yeah, let's just jump in this. So tell us a little about yourself. How long have you been a nurse practitioner for, and what you were doing before you opened up your own practice?
Yeah, so I was an RN at a busy heart hospital for 9 years. Decided to go to NP school. Graduated as a family nurse practitioner 2 years ago. And shortly into clinicals, realized that I didn't want to do what I call commercialized medicine. So I just said, I'm going to go for it and open up a new practice as a new grad. And so I spent really 1 year as a new grad collecting information and data, and then deciding, to take the leap. And then slowly opened first telemedicine. And then second, I had a short-term lease, and we rapidly grew to purchasing a building, opening in November. And now I'm at the point where I am too busy to accept new patients. So we grew from about November to March. For 4 months, we grew about 600 patients.
Okay, well, so you've been open for 4 months?
Technically, yes, I would call it 4 months.
4 or 5 months.
Everything
right.
Before that was just kind of piddling,
Yeah.
I was just me and one other person kind of running the office, answering the phones. I do some home visits too. So I was trying to, and really once we opened up in November, that's when the floodgates opened.
Okay.
I have 3 employees, recently just hired a 4th. And then I've got 2 part-time nurse practitioners, 1 physician assistant, 1 nurse practitioner that's going to be working each 2 days a week. So technically together, that'll be a full-time provider as well.
Look at you, Miss Entrepreneur. Good for you. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah, that's awesome. Good for you. Okay, cool. So you're at 600 patients. I'm sure you're growing rapidly. You mentioned, before we hopped on here that you had a, basically like almost a monopoly on private practice in your county. There's just not really a whole lot of other people doing services, huh?
That's right. Yes. So there's one college health system that has pretty much every office in this county and really the surrounding counties. I'm the only nurse practitioner owned provider in this county. And there's one other private practice, and they're not accepting new patients. They just do like DOT physicals. So yeah, the demand is high. I don't do any marketing at all. I've not had to. I always say my biggest competitor is my best marketing tool, because the patients are pretty much tired of going there and they're looking for.
Yeah. This is, Yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up because I get emails and messages all the time from nurse practitioners. Hey, should I fear this company that just started a telemedicine business? Should I fear Amazon that just, they're doing telehealth? Should I fear this, fear that? Listen, don't fear these giant corporate healthcare systems and these corporate telehealth companies. Like they're going to provide shit care and you are not going to. You're going to provide value to the patient, and that's what they want. They don't want to be treated as, another product on a conveyor belt. So like that is not anything to worry about. You're proof of that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's, my philosophy is I've really worked hard to have a low overhead cost.
Yep.
I don't have anything fancy. I have an EKG machine. I have, everything I need in here. I try to see 3 patients an hour and really spend time with my people, give them what they need. If they're sick, then come on in, type flexible hours. And yeah, like I said, I did a little bit of like Facebook stuff at the beginning, and I did some like community resources where I was just like going to events and handing out my card and, just kind of telling them. And then from then on, it's just been absolutely just word of mouth. Like I do zero marketing.
Yeah.
Zero.
Awesome. I'm sure the insurance companies probably send patients to you as well, right? Or not really?
Not really. I guess like Medicaid, but Medicaid is not my highest payer source. My highest payer source is private insurance.
Sure.
I do take pretty much all insurances, but so Medicaid will kind of assign.
Right.
But gosh, that stuff took so much time and energy getting that going. I don't, with the insurances, I don't really keep up with it anymore. Whatever if they are sending me people, usually I don't know that. Usually it's like, yeah, you see my mom, or there's one family I see 17 people in their family.
Oh wow.
I see daughters and sons. I see grandkids. I see aunts and uncles. That's what my whole concept is providing care for the whole family.
Yeah. No, you're providing valuable care, good customer service, that sort of thing. I mean, it's just going to grow naturally. How much are you making a month approximately? Just gross revenue?
Right. So I only work 3 days a week. And I really have like a 4th day is like admin work type stuff. So, and that's what brought me to you, because I'm working, about 40 hours a week, running my own place, but I'm only grossing about $7,000 to $10,000 a month.
Whoa. Okay. So you got 600 patients and you're only bringing in 10,000 a month?
Yes, me. Now that's how much I'm making.
No. Okay. I got it. So that's how much you're netting.
That's how much. Yes. Sorry.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. So gross, how much is the practice bringing in a month? 30, 40,000?
Yes.
About there. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, insurance practice, solo provider. Yeah. You're looking at anywhere between a 20 to 30% margin typically. And that's right where you're at, right? You're making 30, 40,000 a month gross and you're bringing home 7,000 to 10,000 a month net. Yeah. That's not bad for only working 3 or 4 days a week.
It's not. No.
It's not terrible. Yeah. Margins on a cash practice, like the ones that we teach in our courses for the niche services, like, HRT, weight loss, et cetera. Those margins are typically higher, closer to 50, 60% usually, just FYI.
Right. Yeah. And so those numbers kind of, what I'm doing is I'm doing all of this, primary care, but, obviously I'm flooded with very sick people that, I spend 45 to 50 minutes with them and, I'm paid $85. Usually give or take on average. And so I'm also kind of incorporating right now the weight loss medicine, and that's kind of just taken off here recently. People are finding out that I'm doing that more and more. So I'm like, well, hey, if I can back off, and not take any more primary care patients and kind of work on this niche practice of the weight loss management, then I would love to be able to figure out how to do that.
With that said, the nurse practitioner, the PA you're bringing on board, are you going to want to maybe start having them see the primary care patients and you kind of start doing a little bit more of this cash-based stuff? Was that your plan? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Listen, I mean, you have a profitable business. I mean, in 4 months, you're netting 10,000 a month. That's pretty good. You really need to pat yourself on the back. Okay. That's pretty impressive.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I talk to a lot of NP entrepreneurs and like, that's pretty good. Okay. So if you just continue doing exactly what you are doing and you brought on another NP and a PA part-time, then you could realistically expect your practice to grow to, probably between 1,000 to 2,000 patients, I would imagine, in just 6 to 12 months. Could you see that growth?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, the demand is there. I've got 6 to 8 people every day calling. I'm booked out almost 3 months.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So when you bring these other providers on board, you're going to grow really quick. Okay. So this 30, 40,000 a month is going to turn into 50, 60 within 6 months. I guarantee it. Okay. And then
Okay.
after that, it's just going to be filling up their schedules more. And before you know it, you'll have $1 million practice. I mean, you just will within a year and a half, 2 years. I guarantee
Yeah.
it. If you did just exactly what you're doing now and changed nothing else. Okay.
Okay.
So don't stop taking primary care patients for sure. Like you need to just outsource that to others. Like if you don't really want to be doing a lot of that, then maybe just, have 1 or 2 days a week where you do that. And the other 2 days a week, you can focus on weight loss and niche services or whatever. And then have
Right.
and then have the other providers, they fill up on the primary care. That's kind of the bread and butter. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah. And I'm excited already 4 months into it to say I'm not accepting new patients
Right. Like
as
you
primary
are.
care. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
You
And
aren't, but
the others
the
will.
other people are. Right. Right. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And then my time's better utilized, where if I am here for 6 hours for the day, then I'm making a whole lot more money than, seeing these weight loss patients versus the primary care patients.
Right. Right. When these other providers come on board, obviously the margins are going to go down, right? Because you have to pay them. So,
Right.
you might make maybe 10% or something. It just depends on how much extra staff you have to bring on board and that kind of thing, right? But regardless, if they generate $400,000 a month in billings, that's still $40,000 to you, right? So you have 2 or 3 of that going on. Now you just increase your salary by $150,000 a year by not doing anything, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's that.
Yeah.
That's that passive income, right?
Right. And see, I own my building already.
Nice.
So I've tried to really make smart decisions and give them, with these 2 years it didn't just happen overnight.
No.
I've had, like you said, I did focus on the $100 things for a long time, and then finally got to a point where I could stop focusing on it. I always made payroll. I was able to pay the bills, and every month was just a little bit more and a little bit more until we got to where we're at. So
Yeah. No, good for you. The building that you own, did you take our tax course and kind of set it up like that?
no, I
No.
need to
Okay.
do that. I'm just getting there.
Okay.
Luckily, I have a really good QuickBook accountant. I have 2 accountants. One helps me with just the numbers.
I
So
got you.
everything's kind of set up. But when looking at, so this is my first time filing taxes for last year. But yeah, definitely that's on my list to do for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just curious because so do you have a separate LLC own that building or is it the actual practices that
No,
own it?
it's a separate LLC that owns it.
Smart girl. Okay, good. Yeah, you're separating your assets out. It's an asset protection strategy, but it's also a lease back kind of thing. It's just good for taxes, right? So you're paying that LLC rent, I'm assuming.
Exactly.
Good
Yes.
job. Good job. Okay, cool. Awesome. What the hell are you talking to me for? You got all this stuff down.
Well, yeah, it's like I've got my MBA. Like I graduated F&P school, and then I got my MBA self-taught pretty much.
Hey, listen, the self-taught MBAs are the best MBAs, okay? Like you look at most very successful entrepreneurs and very few of them have an MBA, okay? An MBA is a degree to go into a more higher level administrative kind of position. Like that's what an MBA is for. You know what I mean? Like you become upper management, that kind of a thing. Like you still work for someone. You know what I mean? Most
Right.
MBAs aren't entrepreneurs. They're just not.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, at least with the learning stuff. And I could learn a lot more with taxes. And that's that brings up a good point. It's like I'm so overwhelmed with seeing, so many patients that I can't run the business side of this and the
Yeah.
administrative side. And, with right now, my niche is quality.
Right.
And I want to make sure that's, that continues. But there's just so much, especially with insurance involved, that you still have to take care of and make sure this is going right. And if,
Right.
watching over the numbers and making sure your staff is, doing things that they need to be doing. And
Right.
so
So
it's like,
you don't have the time or the energy.
no,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like to sit down and take a tax course and understand some strategies. Like you just don't have the time for it. Yeah, I
Well,
get it.
yeah. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
so many of your courses I want to keep taking, but it's like just to sit down for an hour and not have work it's kind of hard. It's
kind of,
definitely consuming me fast.
yeah, no, it's, you're going to burn out. Yeah. You are a slave to your business at this point. It sounds like
Definitely.
you just are. Yeah. And so, but the good thing is that you realize this, a lot of entrepreneurs never realize it and they're a slave to their business for 20 years. And they never break free basically. So you see this very early on, which is good. So I'm glad to hear that you're hiring other providers. It's fantastic. So let's talk about, I guess the main reason why you wanted to kind of talk to me. So how are you going to integrate some cash-based services into your practice, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. You're doing a weight loss right now. Kind of walk me through what you're doing. Are you billing insurance for it? Or is it just cash-based?
Yeah. So right now, what I'm doing is, I have my patients that I'm seeing, whether it be for, done 204 hypertension or an annual wellness visit. Either way, we talk about, usually the conversation comes up, well, I want to lose weight, or yeah, my A1C is elevated, or my cholesterol is high, or the topic comes up almost every patient is, yes, I want to lose weight. And then what I've been doing is I'll say, okay, well, we'll, prescribe, I know what some insurances are paying for things like Saxenda or Ribelsis. And I know right off the bat, they'll prescribe that or they'll pay for it. So I wouldn't go ahead and send it in. Sometimes I'm like, oh, well, I don't know if they'll pay for it or not. So I'll give the patient the opportunity to have like one prior authorization. And then if it comes back, if there's, the prior auth, won't cover it, then I'm like, well, this is our third option, which is the compounded medicine order from South Lake Pharmacy. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of samples. Like I get Ozempic and Ribelsis. I have all the Ribelsis samples that I could want. And so sometimes like I'll go ahead and start and give them that. And then while we're waiting for the prior auth, and then those patients are like, yes, I absolutely want this. I'm seeing such success.
Right.
And then that's kind of when we're switching over to the compound pharmacy. So I try to give them the opportunity because honestly, it's hard for me just to say, hey, I think your insurance will cover this, but I'm not going to do it. You have to pay this money from me to get the compounded medicine. It's like something about my ethics feels bad.
Well, yeah. I don't want you to be nickel and diming like, people who are, on the lower income spectrum who really need to use their insurance. I mean, you don't want to do that, right? I mean, I get that. You don't want to do that. But I'm sure you have plenty of patients that can pay cash, though.
Right. I do. So that's the other thing is so the one, I always tell them like, well, there's this option and, I'm going to work with you and work with your insurance and try to get it to happen. But if it doesn't and you like the medicine, then we talk about it. And then usually they're calling back and saying, my insurance won't cover it. I want to try what you're talking about. And so then we go through that spiel. And so usually I'm seeing the patient anyways, in 2 weeks for a blood pressure recheck, or I had started them on a depression medicine. So I bring them back anyways. And so during that visit, they have already started their medicine. And so I'll code like, the top code for depression and then the next code, obesity or whatever it be. And then also discuss that. So that's kind of how I'm still running it through the insurance.
Gotcha.
So that way I still get paid. And so they're not paying me for the visit. There's usually something always to talk about, whether we'll continue to watch the A1C or, there's always some other topic that I can deal with for the follow-up appointments.
Right. And to build the insurance and that kind of thing.
Right. But kind of what I've also done as well is I say, well, I'll take patients just for weight loss. And so then I'm like, yes, you're going to be paying, the $150 to see me plus the medicine for the medication. And it's just been kind of word of mouth like, hey, I have a doctor, but this other doctor also does this. You can come here and get it. And I'll just tell them right up front, well, it's going to be cash and you have to pay for the medicine. And so I have some that do it tele, like I've heard, 2 hours away, they've heard about me. And so I don't see them at all. I'm doing some tele. And then but most of the time when they come in, they'll be like, well, can't you run my insurance at least for the $150 visit? And I'm like, well, if you have to be a patient. If you're a patient, then you have something else we're working towards. Then yes, I can do that. So they kind of sucker me in. Yeah.
Okay. So you have a couple considerations here. Yeah. If you're going to do cash-based weight loss, you just got to be firm. Okay. Like this is the price. We don't bill insurance for it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But let me just ask you this just real quick. I'm assuming at this point, what insurances are paying for this with pre-authorizations and which ones aren't.
Pretty much, it's hard to remember everything.
But generally speaking.
Generally speaking, yes.
Okay. So what you do is that, insurance isn't going to pay for this for a lot of people, right? And so since it is not covered, you can charge the patients cash. You can charge them whatever you want. Okay. But with you being credentialed, if it's covered, you have to use the insurance, right? That's just part of the contract of having, being under the thumb of insurance. So that's what you can do under the current entity that you have. So under the current entity, you can charge them. If it's non-covered, you can charge them whatever you want. All right. But if it's covered, you can't. You have to bill the insurance. So what you have to do, you have to form another entity that's separate, as a separate business, like a separate checking account, separate everything. It's completely separate.
Okay.
That's what you have to do to accept cash patients in an insurance accepting practice. I actually wrote an article on it. So if you go to the Lead MP website, click all articles at the top, search insurance in the search bar, and it'll be like the fourth or fifth article. It's titled "How to Accept Cash Patients in an Insurance Accepting Practice." Okay, now I'm going to summarize it up real quick for you. So you have to have another LLC. You have to form a separate entity. Okay, you can still use the same EMR. You can still do that stuff.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but legally, it's a different legal structure. Okay, so separate bank account, separate payment processing, separate, the separate EIN. It's a separate entity. Okay, but you can share like the same EMR and stuff. I don't see a problem with that. So yeah, that's how you do it, because that entity is not credentialed with insurance. Therefore, you don't need to charge the patient's insurance, even if it's covered.
Okay.
Private insurance, okay? Medicaid in most states, you can get away with that. In some states, you can't. Medicare, you can't. So if they're a Medicare patient, you have to bill Medicare for covered services, right? But it doesn't matter what entity is credentialed. But with commercial insurance and Medicaid, if that entity is not credentialed, you don't have to bill insurance, so you can just charge cash, even if you're credentialed in your other entity, okay? Or if you're credentialed like at another job or something. Does that make sense?
So even if I run it through or I can't opt out for Medicaid with the second PL or the second LLC or Medicare?
Medicare, you can't. In most states, they don't care about Medicaid.
Okay.
In some states, they do. I don't know about your state. I don't know. Colorado, for example, I know that state is if you are credentialed with Medicaid, you have to bill Medicaid. Doesn't matter what entity you're under. It makes no difference. They basically kind of follow the same rules as Medicare. Okay.
Okay.
But in your state, I don't know that answer. So just call Medicaid and ask them.
Okay.
Just frame the question. Hey, I'm credentialed with Medicaid at my job, but I'm going to be doing some cash-based stuff in another cash-based practice. Is it okay if I charge those patients cash? If that entity, if that business is not credentialed with Medicaid, just ask them that question.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. You don't have to give them specifics. They don't even know who you are. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Don't give them your name. Don't give them their business name. Just call them and ask.
Mm-hmm.
Ask that in terms of the Medicaid goes. But for commercial insurance, you don't got to worry about it. Okay. So technically, you're supposed to have a separate entrance for the cash-based business. It can't be the same entrance. It could be the same building, but it has to be a different entrance. It's stupid. So if you have a different entrance, the cash-based people can go through, then that's what you should do. But if you don't, I don't know who would ever know. But
if they're not going to pay me to treat somebody for obesity, then they should let me collect cash from the patient. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can't bill for obesity. So why do they make it so difficult?
Right. Well, I'm talking about if you want to market this as a cash-based practice, just have a completely different model. You don't even accept insurance to begin with. People call, yes, we have a weight loss program, a robust weight loss program. $350 a month includes the visits, includes the weigh-ins, includes the semaglutide medication, includes the syringes. It's an all-inclusive cost. Do you bill insurance? No, we do not.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So you think separate phone, separate name,
separate name, separate phone, separate business, separate website. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. But you could build that out as a cash-based practice just in general. You can do testosterone through it, IVs. You can do, it's basically a different business inside your current business.
Okay.
That's how you do it.
So what about labs?
You can have the patients bill their insurance for labs if you want. It's fine.
So then I would put them through my primary care side of it?
No, you just write an order. And then you just go to LabCorp or whatever and get the blood work drawn. Or, you can basically write the order and then your practice fills that order and draws the labs for the patient.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'd hate to send them to a different lab when I have a full lab here.
Well, what you could do is you can just send them send them in the same office just to get the blood work drawn, but don't bill insurance for the lab draw. Okay.
Right.
Because then you're that's self-referral kind of stuff. You don't want to get into trouble with that, okay? So just don't charge insurance for it. But you can have your phlebotomist do the blood work if you want. And then just send it off to whatever. And just have the lab bill the insurance. Let them fool with that. That's not your problem.
Right, okay.
Or you can have a cash-based, lab program as well. You can use Access Medical Labs, go to the Elite NP website, click Discount Labs at the top, Practice Services drop-down menu, and just use those discounted rates. They're super cheap, $100, $115 for a full lab panel.
Right.
So you can do that as well and then mark it up.
Perfect. Okay. So you think a whole new PLLC, whole new QuickBooks, whole different merchant services, everything needs to be different.
Everything different except for the EMR, correct? Like the operational stuff within the building itself, you can share that. That's fine, but all separate legal stuff. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then that way, when the phone rings, it's for, Kelli's weight loss practice. Okay. You answer. Kelli's weight loss practice. How can I help you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And I just need to do better about when these people, especially these tele visits, they'll be like, well, can't you still bill my insurance?
No, we don't
And
accept insurance.
Right. Yep.
That's your answer. We don't accept insurance. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, but meanwhile, it's perfectly fine. Let's say if my patient comes, I've tried, the prior authorizations, they can't get it, then I need to say, okay, well, you're going to have to follow with my weight loss side of things. This is the monthly membership, and that's what it's going to cost.
Exactly.
That's kind of how I need to go about that. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So the patients that you have already in your primary care practice, like I said, you could do the whole insurance. So you could do the thing that you're doing right now. Then if insurance doesn't cover it, then just charge for the medication or something. Make sure you mark it up.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's perfectly fine for me to still see them and do what I'm doing, like saying, yeah, we're also treating hypertension and depression and all the other stuff, and still order them the tirzepatide through the pharmacy.
Right. And then charge you exactly. Then charge cash for it. Exactly. Yeah. So you bill the insurance for the visit where you addressed obesity, hypertension, diabetes, whatever, et cetera. And then you can charge them for, okay, well, we're prescribing you semaglutide or whatever, but your insurance doesn't cover it. So we're going to do it through a compounding pharmacy, cost you $100. You charge the patient $200. You make $100. Correct.
Right. Yeah.
You can do that. Correct.
Okay. And on that mixing up kind of thing, have you ever charged to do the prior authorizations, like charge the patient extra?
Well, I don't accept insurance. If like a patient wants to use their insurance for a medication and they are just thick-headed, they will just not listen to us. Yeah, you're damn right. We charge them for a pre-auth. I'm like, okay, listen, if you don't want to pay the $80 for the testosterone or whatever, and you want us to deal with this pre-authorization hell, okay, fine. It's $50. Yeah. This takes so much of our time, dude.
Yes, it does. It does. And I'm pretty much doing it on every patient that I'm trying to help get this to them. And so I've thought about charging, but I don't want to be seen as nickel and diamond, but it's really slowing I only have 4 girls, we're seeing all these people and they're about to be having 2 more providers. And so
you can't be spending time doing this.
Okay.
I hate to say that, it might make me sound insensitive, but like as a business owner, practice owner, like how much time do you spend on that crap?
Yes. And you spend just as much time dreading it as you spend on doing it. So, yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm sure people listening to this right now who accept insurance are just nodding their head. Yeah. Pre-authorizations suck.
Yeah.
But if you follow my advice though, in terms of the, having forming a separate entity and whatnot, it's going to allow you to build that cash arm of the business though.
Yeah.
And what can happen is later on, as you grow, if it starts really taking off, it could be a completely separate business. You say, hell with this. I'm going to get another office for this. Now you have 2 businesses.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I have this building's 3,500 square foot.
Oh, geez.
So I have plenty, or actually sublease it right now to a speech therapist, but it's plenty big. But yeah, I'd like to.
I was going to say, kick them out, and that's what you make your cash-based practice.
Yeah.
Separate door, right?
Yeah. Oh, there's plenty of doors in here. Yeah. It'd be a separate door for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's also going to be more work though. Another QuickBook, another LLC. So it's just like the LLC that owns the building. That's all it is the LLC owning the building. So maybe I could turn that LLC into the one that owns this weight loss.
No, never mix high liability assets together.
Okay. So I need a third one.
You really do.
Okay.
Anyone listening to this right now, like never, ever title real estate in a high liability LLC entity like a practice. Never do that.
Okay.
Like never title a car under an entity that owns real estate, for example. You get into a car accident, all that real estate is now up for grabs. Like the asset protection course, I talk about this a lot, just FYI. So
you could take that one too. Got to get the time on it.
Yeah, like the asset protection course. I developed that course with some lawyers. Like it is how to protect your assets. Okay. Like, yeah, you need to know that stuff as a business owner, especially if you're, accumulating wealth, which you're going to begin doing here, very, very shortly. So, anyways, though, yeah, it's a separate PLLC for the cash-based practice. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it sounds daunting, but listen, once it's done, it's not that big of a deal. It can be the same bank. So you open up your bank app, you see both accounts in there. It's not a big deal. All right. Like I have 4 or 5 entities at the same bank. So I just log in and all my entities are right there. Like I can just check them. Like it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's going to be like my staff already. They're like, are we sending this to the insurance? Are we not sending this to the insurance? I've been charging like $50 more for the people who I'm just seeing for weight loss and giving like my patients a $50 discount. So then like, well, how much is this patient paying? And so it's just kind of, we need, I guess, to hire more people to keep it better organized.
Yeah, I was going to say, why not just hire like a medical assistant just for the cash-based services? They answer the phone, they do it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
And you pay them through the payroll of that business, right?
Right. And half the time, everything that I'm saying and talking about, a nurse or MA could be doing. When I talk about the side effects and I talk about, this self-administer and all that, the televisit, gathering the data, the subjective information. It's just like, well, somebody else could be doing this for me. And then I could just come in for a quick 5 minutes and finish it up and move to the next.
Absolutely. So how are you going to do that?
Well, I think the key thing there is just finding somebody who really knows what they're doing. Which there's plenty out there. My door is beat down with people want jobs. Luckily, because I guess I was a nurse for so long and I'm well known in the community already. And it's just like, oh, can I have a job? Can I have a job? From all over. And so that's not an issue. I hear about, that being an issue for other places. That's not an issue here. So I could easily find it. And, I'm not afraid to spend money. Luckily, I've got a good cushion. I didn't even have to take a loan out for this business. I've just been smart with my money. So I'm not afraid to go in the hole for a little bit to have a long-term asset. But yeah, I think it's going to be my nurse today spent the whole day trying to figure out, okay, when do they need their next vial ordered? Who's already paid? Who still needs to pay? And she's doing all this. It's really probably getting already where you're right. I need another person that's answering the phone and doing the marketing, because I will have to branch out. I do think I at least need people to know what we are doing differently now that we're opening kind of this part of it. So I do plan on doing some advertising.
Yeah, you're probably going to. Well, cash-based practices, you usually have to advertise a little bit, but it sounds like you have a really strong base of word of mouth and people that really like you. So, I've had plenty of people on this podcast before who barely spend any money marketing their practice cash-based, and they're killing it,
Right.
Yeah, I had some girls a couple episodes before this they're $100,000 a month almost. Yeah. Barely ever advertised. Just crazy.
Oh, I would love to be able to say that.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like once you start getting a few patients in, they talk to their friends and, so forth. So I say that, it's a profitable model. You know that there's demand for it because you're already doing it, right?
Yeah.
So there's no risk here for you. It's going to cost you a couple $1,000 to get a new website, to get the PLLC, and just to set it up, right? It's not going to cost you much at all, right? All tax deductible, so hell with it, whatever. So I think you could probably get this set up in a week.
Yeah. And it just take the time and do it for sure.
Yeah. And then if you have such a large space, just have like one room for that or something, something that's kind of dedicated workspace for that. And then just start it off and see how it goes, follow the advice like in the weight loss course or whatever, for example, it's sort of like a subscription-based model. I say just do that and stick with it. And then for the patients who want to use their insurance, then just charge them the money for the stuff that's not covered per medication.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I took the weight loss course. And the one question I had about that was like all that the patients have to sign and, the HIPAA, the policy statement, the consent, the risk and benefits, obligation, regaining weight acknowledgement. Like it's very intimidating for the patient. They're almost like, well, what am I taking? Like, I didn't know if you had any tips for that.
Okay. Yeah. I'm very paranoid when it comes to things like that. So that's why the consents in most of the courses are very detailed. I feel like the more you have in it, the better, it covers you from multiple different aspects. So that's the reason why a lot of those things are, so robust in nature. At the end of the day, you don't really need to sign that informed consent form. Really, that the indemnification clause, that should be enough.
Well, and can I just pile like all those that they're initialing, initial, can I just pile that all on one 3-page document and have them just sign at the bottom and then they can just.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So, exactly. You have
3 pages and then just put it all together as one.
Yep, 100%. And then at the very bottom, you say, I certify that I've read through this. I've had my questions answered, blah, 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 blah. Sign here. Yeah, you can do that. It's fine.
Okay.
Most people probably going to read it anyways. Most people don't, but whatever, they signed it.
Well, and I was listening to your podcast the other day about, only asking questions you want the answers to. And
Yes.
So for your weight loss patients, like not to get, since that's all I'm doing, because it's hard to switch my brain from primary care. I've got to fix everything to I'm only here to help you for your weight loss, pretty much. And so is there like specifically, could you just go over some of the things that you always ask and then some things that you never ask for those patients?
Yeah. So like for the intake form, for example, we have something documented on paper, right? So like intake forms, I don't ask questions I don't want the answers to, right? Like
Right.
I'm prescribing you semaglutide for weight loss. I don't need to know if you've had chest pain. I don't
Right.
need to know if you're short of breath. I don't need to know these answers. That's not relevant to what I'm doing. It's not pertinent, right?
Right.
So you have to kind of, I can't really tell you exactly what to ask and what not to ask. So what you have to do is you have to develop this mental process, this way of thinking. Okay. And anyone listening to this is how you should think, is that you should always be kind of asking yourself, how could a lawyer use this against me if something happened? Because in reality, a lot of malpractice, the shit was going to happen regardless of who saw them, right?
Right.
Like they were just going to have that heart attack. It doesn't matter. You just happened to be the unlucky one who saw that patient. You know what I mean? Just bad shit happened. That's called life. So you always have to be asking yourself, how can a lawyer use this against me, essentially? And so you don't want to ask questions that make you basically guilty, right? Like they say they had chest pain and then you just never even document a response to it or anything. And they have a heart attack a week later. You're screwed.
Yeah. Well, I've got
that's what I'm
your
saying.
form, the form that you have, that's on the course, the medical weight loss program intake form. Like I plan on just using that as the template. They answer all that. I bring it in, pull it over through my EHR, pretty much say, I explain the side effects of the medicine. Do you have any questions? And then move on. And I'm good to do that, right?
Yeah. That's why the intake form's in the course.
Yeah.
I use. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. I don't think you asked about chest pain specifically
I don't think
on
so.
that.
Yeah. Very just relevant stuff. Very pertinent questions. It is a weight loss visit. Okay. It is a visit about hormone replacement therapy. It is a visit about IV infusion. Only ask what's relevant, what's pertinent to the visit. Them being short of breath is not relevant to the 30 pounds they need to lose. It's not relevant. Do you get hungry at night? That's pertinent.
Yeah.
Do you have calf pain and leg swelling? That's not pertinent. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm being a little dramatic here, but yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
All right. I hope everyone's enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick break to thank everyone listening and also give a big thank you to all of my social media followers and email subscribers. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our email list at www.elitenp.com and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Email subscribers will receive updates on new weekly podcast episodes, multiple weekly articles we publish, new courses, and everything else related to helping you succeed. Remember, all elite nurse practitioner courses are designed to help you build a niche practice, increase your financial strength, and to break free from the rat race. If I can break free and that other countless nurse practitioners can break free, then so can you. Additionally, please share this podcast with your other nurse practitioner sisters and brothers out there. The more NPs that venture out on their own, the stronger our profession will become. Now, let's get back to the episode.
So I find myself with the weight loss stuff repeating the same things over and over. And so I was going to see if you have any advice for like handouts for the patients that, or any way to, because I really, as simple as it sounds like I don't have time to make all these nice handouts. And I mean, I haven't had that. So I didn't know if you had any resources towards that.
So the compounding pharmacies usually have educational material for the patients. All you do is ask them and they'll email you like a PDF.
Okay.
Yeah. Really great stuff, talks about it and everything. And there's so much of this online. Like you could just Google, informational PDF on semaglutide patient specific, for example. You'll get all kinds of stuff that comes up. Then just kind of look at it and make it fit your needs, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes I'm like, some patients I'll start at the 0.25 dose of the tirzepatide for 2 weeks, and then I go ahead and advance them. Or, I know if some people I think are going to need the 4 weeks, or some people's already had Saxenda sample from my office for the first 2 weeks, and I'm, moving them over or transferring them to whatever it is that they can afford or that they'll pay for.
Right.
And so I was hoping for I need to just take the time and do it and just write it down. Like, this is my dose this week. This is my dose next week. This is when I'm coming back. For side effects to report. This is side effects to, and I'm saying all that every time. So I need to just take the time and make the literature.
So you know what that's called? Making a system, creating a procedure.
Right.
That's what that's called. That's how you grow a business. That's how you do it. Because imagine how much time you're spending on the same shit over and over and over again, right?
Over and over and over. Yes.
So imagine if you just spent 2 hours and created something that now saves you hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Now you have a system. Now you're making your time more efficient.
Yeah. And
right?
If I could say anything to a new person doing this, it's take the time to make those templates. Take the time. Anything that you see that you say it twice, you need to take the time and get it written down so you don't have to say it again. And I need to listen to my own words.
Sure. Right. Like you can't just buy this. You can't just buy a procedural manual that's going to just provide everything that you need. That doesn't exist because everyone practices different.
Yeah.
Everyone's workflows are different. That's just kind of how you build that out. Yeah. And so, just start doing it. Just start writing it down because listen, you got providers coming on board, you got new staff coming on board, this sort of a thing. They need some sort of reference on how you like things done. That's what's called an SOP, standard operating procedure.
Yes. I've had so many people tell me the same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I have SOPs for lead nurse practitioner. I have SOPs for my men's health clinic. I don't have one for my cannabis clinic because that's kind of just whatever. But yeah, it took me multiple years to write those things out, but they're there.
Do you sell those too?
No, I do not because it's specific to me.
Yeah.
Like you'll read it and be like, I don't agree with that. I don't sounds like you really half-assed that. You know what I mean? It's so different for everybody. All right. Okay. You can look up a standard operating procedure template or a policies procedure template online. And there's, dozens and dozens of templates. Pick one and then just start writing it out. Like the whole point of this is not to show the government that you have one. Okay. That's not the point. The point of it is that an employee can look at it or another provider or whatever and be able to do the job the way you want them to do it. That's what it is. That's the point.
Yeah. And when I listen to your podcast about letting things go and delegating and all that, I'm doing some of that. And then, next thing you know, I'm like, oh, no, it's not done how I want it. And then I'm, having to step back in. And so as I grow, you're absolutely right. I've got to get this stuff written down so people know what to do if I'm not here and people know what to do.
Exactly. So listen, if it's something on a computer screen, download Loom and just record the videos of you doing it and talking to Mike. Now you have a video procedure of how you want a patient intake to go in your EMR.
Okay. Yeah.
You record those videos, you upload them to a Google Drive, you put them in separate folders, patient intake, uploading labs into EMR, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You just create those videos. Now you have a beautiful video procedure that anyone can look at. They can get in and just hit the floor running.
Okay. Yeah.
You're going to be doing it anyways. Just record it. Just literally click and just start recording it. You're going to do it anyways.
Yep. Right. Especially every time I bring somebody new on, then I'm teaching them how to do it. So I'll just do it one time and stop making excuses.
There you go. Exactly. I know it's daunting. It is a pain in the ass. It is not fun creating these things. It's not, but it's so worth it once it's done. You almost have to do it to take your practice to the next level. You really do.
Yeah. And my goal really is to expand and have, what I'm doing in other counties and just creating this freedom for other providers. Really. It's just been so refreshing to not have somebody standing over my head constantly or telling me I need to see people more or asking why I've taken off for my son's birthday or field trip. The independence is just people ask, I get a lot of scrutiny sometimes from providers that are like, oh, you'll never make it. Haters, I guess. They're miserable, obviously. And I'm just like, okay.
They're just projecting their insecurities and fear onto you. That's all they're doing. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just ignore them. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many naysayers I have had throughout my entrepreneurial journey. I couldn't tell you how many. So many. Well, you know what? They're wrong. I proved them wrong.
Yes, you did. You did. And
I
the
proved
same
them wrong.
ones are like, well, if I talk about weight loss, they're like, well, that's not FDA approved and da 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 da
Okay.
da.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and the same ones.
Yeah. Well, listen, the FDA has, their pockets have the hands of pharmaceutical companies and stuff in it. So if you truly believe everything the FDA is doing is for the common good, you're a fool.
Yeah. Well, and these patients, look at the benefits these patients are getting.
Right.
There's nothing else that teaches them how to eat like this medicine does. There's nothing else that I have found that keeps the weight off even after you stop it like this medicine does from those learned behaviors. And it's life-changing for so many people. And if they want to have some kind of negative intuition about it, then I'm just like, well, tell your patients to come see me and I'll help them,
Right. Exactly.
So, and a lot of times I get their patients and they're like, oh, we've been looking for help for forever and now it's here. So,
don't let it get to you. Okay. You're going to get that. You'll always get that as an entrepreneur. You're just going to.
I'm pretty thick skinned. I just usually laugh at them for sure.
I just laugh at them anymore,
Yeah. Well, I don't get it as much now that I'm now that I am what I call successful. I don't see it as much anymore. I'll have, at the beginning I had a lot of providers messaging me and, and I have people that stop by and that they hear that that's what I do. They just kind of, okay, but like I said, I get patients from them all the time. So whatever it takes to get these people, I mean, I'm not only helping them lose weight, I'm decreasing their chance of cancer. I'm decreasing their chance of high blood pressure. I'm decreasing their sleep apnea. It's a lot more than just losing weight. And that's why it ties so well to my primary care. I have a patient that comes and they're overweight and they might need some blood pressure medicine. They might have some elevated cholesterol. They have an A1C of 5.7. They take this for 3 months and they're better. Their blood pressure's down. Their depression is almost gone because they feel better about their body. So I basically prevented 4 medicines and they're healthier. They're, studies say you'll live longer if you're not obese, right?
But Kelly, it's not FDA approved. Shame on you.
Right.
It's like, I mean, come on. Like, obesity is the root of so much disease. Like, like hormone deficiencies are the root of a lot of disease. Like, I couldn't tell you how many men I've had at my men's health clinic get off their antidepressants and stuff because now their testosterone's optimized.
Yeah.
And then all the benefits that come with it as well. You know what I mean? Like, what would you rather be on?
Saving their marriage.
Saving their marriage. Like, what way would you rather be on? An SSRI that makes you dull to the world, apathetic, makes you feel like a zombie? Or would you rather take something that makes you feel alive, improves your insulin sensitivity, improves your metabolic function, improves your lean muscle mass, improves your focus? Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's just ridiculous. Anyways, tangent there.
That's my next tangent is men's health. And that's just because of the demand that I see already now.
Yeah.
And so there's no competitor here for me.
Perfect. For that. So with that, okay, the only way that you would be able to build that through insurance is that if their levels are truly like under 250. You know what I mean? Each insurance has a different cutoff, but generally it's anywhere between 250 and 300 total testosterone. And so if they're at 350, you can't bill insurance for it, right? It's not covered. So then that would be the cash base. In reality, a majority of patients will not be, below 250, but they'll still be symptomatic at 350, 400, and they still benefit from treatment. But now it's not considered within guidelines, right? It's perfectly safe. Nothing's wrong with doing that at all, but it has to be cash-based. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I really feel like that forming this cash-based entity for you is just going to make your life easier. It might be a little bit difficult at first, but at the end of the day, it's going to be so much easier for you just to do that.
Yeah. And you told me that a year and a half ago, and I was like, no, I'm going to help people and do this primary care. And then now, and I wanted the demand to be there right there at the beginning. And now I'm kind of like, oh, well, maybe I should have started with that. But I'm still happy and fulfilled with my job and what I'm doing and helping a lot of people that needed help, plus having these other providers. And now I'm just at a point where I'm ready to work smarter, not harder.
There you go.
I'll keep the patients that I have for now, but I cannot wait until I tell my staff and say, I'm not accepting new patients.
Yep.
And then I spend more time with my family and time on this computer.
Yeah. Life's short. You got to find balance. I don't know how any primary care provider can do it for 20, 30 years or anyone in the ER. I just don't see it. It's not natural. it's so unnatural to be in that kind of environment. It just is. You got to find that balance. So yeah, no, good for you. I mean, you see this, you see the light. If you keep building up this primary care practice and only do primary care and only accept insurance and that kind of stuff, you're probably going to burn out. I mean, you're already getting there.
Yeah. Well, I take a lot of my work home but when I have 27 people a day. There's no way not to take your work home.
Yeah.
When you have 3 or 4 people waiting on you and you finish up with one patient, you don't get to sit there and chart. So
yeah, you can't be doing that, bringing that work home. And most of that work is busy, stupid work required by insurance companies, right?
Right. Yep.
Right.
Or a lot of them are referral this and prior authorization that. And
Insurance-based nonsense, busy work. With a cash-based practice, you finish your chart, you chart for you, and you're done. You don't need to fool with any of that crap. You just don't. It's great.
Right.
Like some of my notes at my men's health clinic, I'm not joking you, for some follow-up visits, it's like 3 sentences. I don't need to document anything else. It's 3 sentences. I just type a little paragraph out. I'm done. Click next.
Well, yeah. And they're happy. You're happy. Everybody's happy.
Everyone's happy. Right.
Like you said, the need is there. Like they have the money. I looked at the data. There's 80,000 in my county.
More
so
than
surely, and I only need, like you said, 100 patients, right? I don't need 1,000.
Nope.
I really, as busy as I am, I only need 100 patients.
Listen.
And so I'm sure in that 80,000, there's 100 people that can pay for the medicine that they want.
Probably 500 people.
Yeah.
It's probably 500 people. You only need 100 patients. So, $350 a pop. Let's just say $350 because that's pretty much the going rate for semaglutide on a monthly basis for, a membership-based program. So let's just say that, that's, 100 patients. How much is that? $35,000 a month, profit margin of 40, 50s, 50, just say 50%. That's $15,000, $16,000 a month. 100 patients. Good money. Yeah. And it don't take a whole lot of your time either.
Yeah. I'm excited about that's why I messaged you, because I have everything going for me with the building and the marketing and the word and the so it's like what's the next step and how is that? And
you have all the resources at your fingertips here. It's just basically you just setting some time aside and just getting it done. So what you need to do is you just need to schedule one day off. Just be like, I am not seeing patients next Wednesday. I am not. And you go to the library, you go somewhere quiet, away from distractions, and you get it done.
Yeah. Well, and see, I'm just going to now be at a place where I'm still making money if I'm not there.
If you're not seeing patients. Right.
Right. Yeah. Because, it's been where if I'm not there, then my staff still has to be paid. So I really need to be there to see the patient. So I'm just now getting to, which I know it's only been 4 months I shouldn't complain, but it's going to be so nice to have this other provider, to not have this way, to screen these calls, to see these sick people. And, I read what you talked about with the 1099 versus the W-2, but I don't feel like in my case, a 1099 will work just because of the fact that they need to work the hours that I want them to work.
Yeah.
I want them to know that they're employees of mine.
With an insurance accepting practice with, defined hours, it's going to be pretty hard to justify them being a 1099.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The providers that work at my men's health clinic, I'm like, you work whenever you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
Make your own hours. I could care less when you work. One of my providers only sees patients from 6 to 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay. Works for me. I don't care. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
Well, I want to know, if I'm on vacation, they better be here.
They better be there. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're coming to that realization very early in your entrepreneurial journey too. It's like, you have to exchange your time for dollars, right? You don't see patients, you don't make money. You don't see patients, your practice doesn't make money, right?
Right.
And so it sucks. You take a week off, you're like, God, that's a week of income gone.
Right? Yeah.
Right. That's the beautiful thing about those monthly subscription-based programs that I just hammer on all the time. You make money even if you're not seeing patients because they're paying monthly on an automatic payment plan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why I love those subscription-based models. Just FYI.
And you talk about if it's legal in your state or all that, how do you find out what your true rules are for your state?
This is the thing. I don't know if you listened to the episode with Dr. Seitz about the medical directorship.
No.
Okay. Listen to that episode. We talk a lot about regulations and being compliant. And this is the thing. Boards of nursing aren't looking to screw you over. There's no Spanish Inquisition out there. They're just hunting down providers to screw them over. That doesn't really exist, okay? As long as you're doing things within reason and patients aren't being harmed, okay? then there's not really a whole lot to worry about. So the boards of nursing, the boards of medicine, those sorts of regulatory agencies, they assume that the provider, the licensed individual, is going to be doing the right thing. So they give you the power to be doing the right thing. That's why there's not a whole lot of regulations surrounding certain things. In most states, the Board of Nursing have no regulations whatsoever about IV infusion therapy, hormone replacement therapy, prescribing things off label. There's no regulations for it. It doesn't exist.
Okay.
So therefore, it's fine as long as you're not doing anything insane. You know what I mean?
Right. That's why I didn't know if I should call it a subscription or membership, or if I could just say, hey, every time you come in here, it's $350.
No, you can call it a subscription. Why can't you have a subscription-based program?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about that.
I'll listen to that.
Like, seriously, listen to the episode. I mean, he's full of nuggets. Dr. Seitz is very, very knowledgeable with regulatory things. And that's basically the summarization of it. Stop worrying about this so much. If there isn't a regulation, there isn't a regulation. Simple as that.
Right. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Well, when you talk about, whatever your state, then I'm like, oh gosh, how do I know if I'm doing the right thing or not? Who do I ask?
So you're a nurse. So you fall underneath the Board of Nursing, right? And so it's within the Board of Nursing, it's the Nursing Act. It's the Practice of Nursing Acts. That's where you find that stuff. With you being in a restricted state, though, the Board of Medicine probably dips their fingers in some things as well. So, it complicates it a little bit more. But as long as your collaborator supervisor is okay with it, then you shouldn't really have to worry about it.
No, he's good to go.
There you go.
His wife gets the medicine, so he's happy with everything.
So he's happy with it, right? All right. Yeah. There you go.
Exactly.
Well, is there anything else you want to talk about? Any other questions?
I've got one more question pertinent to the LLC, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So originally when this all started, this was actually a partnership that we dissolved it because of I wanted to buy the location and she didn't. And so we're still friends and it mutually separated. But because of that, I had to do a name change because our name was in together when it first was started. And so I've had a mess with the LLC. So I'd changed art to the new name with the Secretary of State, but then the federal government side is still the old name. And so all my credentialing and all that is through the old name. So patients, when they go to search on their insurance card, our name, then it comes up the old name. And so it's just this pain in the neck. And so how do other people that do business as, which I'm not even doing business as because the Secretary of State says that this is my name. So it's technically not a doing business as. I just don't know. How do I get my name changed with the federal government? That's an overall question.
In what way with the federal government? Like who specifically? Medicare?
Well,
your EIN, your IRS EIN number?
My EIN number is associated with a different name than what my practice name is.
Right. You would probably need to send a form to the IRS or something that shows that the name was changed. I honestly don't know if there's a form like that. That's what I would ask your accountant about that. I know that with our entities, sometimes I have to change addresses for things and my CPA submits a form to the IRS for an address change. So I'm sure there's a form for a name change. I'm sure there is.
I did that probably about 8 months ago. I've done it twice. Plus my CPA has tried to call.
Well, then listen, if you've submitted it and what else can you do? The government doesn't have anyone to answer to. You kind of just do what they want. So, if you've submitted them, then just document or make sure you have copies of that I've submitted this multiple times. But at the end of the day, I don't think there's anything to really worry too much about here. As long as the entity with the Secretary of State is just under your name and it's just you, but you're still credentialed with this other EIN number that has a different name on it, but it's the same entity in theory. I don't know. I just don't think I'd worry too much about it.
I don't worry. It's just confusing for the patients. They're like,
right.
And I know you don't do much with the insurance, but
no, I get that.
And God, it's just such a pain. That's why these LLC things kind of make me cringe because it's been such a pain. But
then why not you have your insurance credential or contact the insurance company and be like, we had a name change, but it's still the same EIN.
Yeah. So some people pay me with my new name. Some people pay me with my old name. My insurance company's done everything or my credentialer's done that with everybody that will do it.
I got
and then
you.
Some people are like, no, that's not what's on the EIN.
So again, you're spending time explaining patients this, right?
Yeah.
So develop a system or something that mitigates the issue. in the intake form or whatever, you have them acknowledge something, just signed separately that, you might see it being billed under this name, just FYI.
Okay.
Just something like that. And then just kind of just let it, work its way out.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was hoping you had some kind of magic number.
No, I don't, unfortunately. I mean, if you already submitted the name change stuff request to the IRS multiple times and you're still not getting anything, I mean, what the hell can you do?
Yeah. It's a pain. Do not call your practice anything until you're really ready. Think about it, and do not do a partnership either.
Avoid partnerships. They very rarely ever work out. Correct.
Yep. I've heard you say that before, but
very rarely.
Lots of learning things. Like, I know there's no book for this, but I sure could write one. So.
Oh yeah. You should have just listened to me to begin with, right?
Yes, I should have. I go back to that all the time. Like, you were right. You're right about a lot of things. So I appreciate all that you're doing for nurse practitioners. And I'm excited about taking the testosterone course and starting that eventually.
Yeah. Do it. You'll love it. It's a great service line. It really is. Well, like the episodes with you asking me questions, is there anything that you'd ever wanted to ask me? Anything you've ever been curious about or personal or anything like that?
What is your most profitable ownership, or what's your most profitable thing that you're doing right now? I saw that you just posted something about the dividends or something that you were talking about.
Oh, so my most profitable investment?
Yeah.
Gotcha. I split it pretty evenly amongst real estate, stocks, and, bonds and funds. So I mostly do Airbnbs. I like short-term rentals. The reason being is you don't have to deal with all the headaches of a long-term rental lease and evictions and all that kind of crap. I like easy. I like simple. Okay. So an Airbnb is a lot simpler than a long-term rental. It might be a little bit more work, but you don't have to deal with all the evictions and crap. So I have an Airbnb that generates probably close to $10,000 a month in revenue, profits maybe $5,000, $6,000.
Mm-hmm.
I could live off that. I'm a pretty frugal guy. Like, I could just live off that alone if I wanted to. That's probably like one of my most profitable investments is that. That property cost me about $550,000, $600,000. I don't even remember now. Anyways, it was like $550,000, $600,000, and it's generating $10,000 a month. That's a pretty good investment, right?
Yeah.
Dividends. I invest heavily in dividend producing stocks and funds. I don't like growth stocks. So, there's a difference between growth stock and a dividend stock. So a growth stock is just going to grow in value, and then you sell it for a profit later. Dividend stock or a dividend fund, it might grow a little bit, but it provides you a nice, steady income stream. And so if your goal is passive income, dividend stocks are great. Dividend funds are great. I mean, I make like $50,000 a year or something just off dividends because I have a lot of various high dividend funds that I'm invested in.
But you had multiple locations. Like, first you poured your money to the multiple locations, and then you kind of started on this side of the real estate.
Yeah. So you mean like with my businesses?
Yeah.
I guess I started really investing in my businesses first. Yes. Like, I started my practice, open up another location, open up another business, open up another business. I think at one time I had like 5 businesses going at one time. And then all the profit I was making, I was making all these profits, and I'm just like, I don't need this. Like, I don't care about buying a new Range Rover or Rolex watch. I don't care about that stuff, Yeah. So I started just buying real estate. So I'd say, I think I bought my first rental real estate. Well, I converted the house that I was living into a piece of rental real estate. And then I bought another house. And then I think I bought another house after that, like 6 months later or something. So that was about a year and a half into my entrepreneurial journey. I started buying real estate. And so 4 or 5 years in now, I have multiple pieces of real estate, and most of them are Airbnbs. I think I have one long-term rental.
How long was it that you opened your first practice?
2018. Yeah, 2018.
Okay. So you're 5 years in.
5 years in. Yeah.
Okay.
5 years in. Like, at this point, 5 years in, it's just like, it's like the back of my hand. It's just so simple now. It's just one of those things. I poured my heart and soul into it, and it's integrated into my brain now. Like, I am a business owner. I would never work for someone ever again. Ever. It's never going to happen.
Well, I'm there already, and I'm not 5 years into it. So,
yeah, you're already there, So like 5 years from now, I would imagine that you will have multiple locations, and you'll be pulling easily $1 million+ a year in revenue. Guarantee it. You'll be paying yourself a very, very healthy 6-figure income, and you will work less than you're working now. Just watch. Guarantee it.
I love the positivity. I look forward to that.
If you do things right, you continue to invest in your business, that's where you will be in 4 or 5 years. That's the key. Keep investing in your business.
I appreciate it, Justin, all your time today. And I look forward to having the time to take the rest of your courses and figuring out where, how we can do this. So
yeah, no, you got it. Like I said, go to the all articles section of the main website and type in insurance. I wrote an article about it, so you can read that. Also search DBA. There's probably there's a couple articles there that you might want to take a look at just to kind of wrap your mind around having 2 businesses in one location. So read those articles. And you got my email. If you have any other questions, let me know. If you want to do a follow-up, let me know.
I'd love to.
Cool. Awesome. Well, any other questions?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Awesome. Appreciate your time. Thanks.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. All right. I hope everyone enjoyed the episode with Kelli. Pretty good episode. Listen, if you're thinking about accepting insurance, but you also want to do cash, listen to that episode again. Read that article on the Elite MP website. You can accept cash in an insurance-based practice if you're doing it correctly, okay? You can have 2 separate entities. You're supposed to have 2 separate entrances. It basically has to be 2 separate businesses, okay? But it can be in the same office, though. It can be in the same building if you do it right. So just keep that in mind. You can do both, and you can make both work. I mean, she's, bringing in $30,000, $40,000 a month just with primary care. Like, that's pretty good. She's netting 10,000, 25% margin. That's pretty good. But the margins with the cash-based practice are going to be higher, just FYI, okay? You're talking about 50, 60% margin. And the reason being is because there's less work involved. When you accept insurance, there's more work. You're charting more. You have more employees dealing with pre-authorizations and billing and coding and all that kind of stuff, all right? So that's the reason why cash-based practices are more profitable. There's less overhead with it, and it takes less time. And at the end of the day, you make more money, all right? So I think that if she opens up, a little cash-based side of her practice, a separate entity, whatever, she can easily turn that into another $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month while her primary care practice continues to grow and she has other providers seeing patients for her. That is being a true entrepreneur. All right, I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. Talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the show. Quick legal disclaimer. The content of this podcast is meant for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be used as legal, financial, medical, regulatory, or practice-specific advice. For information pertaining to your specific legal, financial, medical, or practice-specific needs, please be sure to consult with your lawyer, CPA, medical director, and/or your state's practice laws and the most up-to-date clinical guidelines. As always, do your due diligence when it comes to any information found online and in podcasts. The content in this podcast is copyrighted by Galaxy Medical Southwest 2023 and cannot be duplicated, rebroadcasted, or reproduced without our written permission.